Hello, I'm Stephen. I am the author of Ho'oponopono. What is it? Can it help? And what are its limitations? This is a fairly comprehensive book, and I'll leave some details about how to get it in the description below. Anyway, what is Ho'oponopono? Ho'oponopono was originally a traditional Polynesian Hawaiian method of resolving difficulties between different tribal groups who were living on the Hawaiian Islands. If you think about it, inevitably there will be difficulties because there will be disputes about fishing rights, there will be disputes about water rights, and there will be disputes about land rights. And in order to resolve these, the ancient Hawaiian shamans called kahunas would conduct a rite, which they called a ho'oponopono, in order to attempt to resolve any difficulties in the dispute. Now, this is a very Western way of looking at what was going on. In point of fact, the traditional Polynesian Hawaiians believed each of them to be a representation, if you like, of divinity itself. They recognized that the experiences that were happening to them, or seeming to happen to them, were in fact illusory. And we know this because their symbol for human being was a triangle within a rectangle. And the triangle represented the human body and the human system, and the longer, denser vibrations of the human system are represented at the bottom of the triangle. And right at the very top, it becomes very, very fast. And then you go into this square, which is the square of divinity itself, not the sort of Christian godlike divinity, but the background to which everything seemed to occur, the screen upon which it occurred, if you like. And this is four-cornered, so it's very, very stable. And then beyond the screen there was a great unknowable area in which you can't know what you don't know that you don't know, and that was the area beyond all of that. And in shamanic language, that area is known as the Nawal, spelt Nagual, the Nawal, and sometimes that's called upon in order to perform various miracles. But anyway, these are not part of the Ho'oponopono tradition. That's something completely different. The error that people would make when it came to fishing rights is they would come down and they would be actually grounded in their basic lower part of the triangle. They would actually feel that things were happening to them. Ho'oponopono translates as to correct an error. So the error that the kahunas were trying to correct was to get them to reconnect with all the other parts of their being within the Ho'opono model of society, and that meant that they would reconnect with their divinity and they would become inspired and they would change in some way. The ancient Polynesian Hawaiians used to talk in metaphors about living, and in fact that's a good way of talking about living even today. And what they said was that each of us is like a basket and we gather up rocks as we travel through life, and our objective is to throw away those rocks and to replace them with white light. And what they meant by this is that we end up with a basket of memories, and what we need to do is to throw away the rocks that comprise these memories, or at least the emotions that are attached to these memories, and replace them with the white light of creative divinity. So how do we go about doing that? Well, today we say that our subconscious mind is like a toddler, and therefore it only knows how to do positive things. So it's a bit like if you tell a toddler, don't tread in that muddy puddle with your best shoes, the toddler inevitably does so. But if you say, go round the puddle over there, the toddler will most likely go round it. It will respond to positive instructions. And your subconscious mind is exactly the same as that. Now, toddlers are also attracted to shiny objects and various different things, toys and things that fascinate it, and your subconscious mind is no different from that, and people use it to sell you stuff that you don't necessarily need or want. And that is the nature of the subconscious mind. It has access to data about your ancestors. So, you probably have your grandfather's face or your grandmother's ears, or, you're a combination of their various heights or builds or stature or whatever. And it also has access to your own past lives, because in Ho'oponopono we believe that we have past lives. We've done things in the past in all sorts of different places, not only on this planet Earth, but on other places as well. And as a result of that, we carry karmic memories, karmic data about those. I'll put a link about karmic data in the video description below so you can read a little bit more about it. Our conscious mind only knows negative things. It can negate information that comes up from the subconscious. So it can choose to dismiss something. So when I say to you, don't think about a pink and white fluffy elephant with big floppy ears and a bushy tail, in all probability you thought of that as I said it, and then you negated it because of the don't at the beginning. So this kind of shows how the subconscious conscious mind system works. The subconscious mind gives you only a positive impression, and the conscious mind will have the ability to negate it in some way. And that gives you the illusion or a limited amount of free will. And it's that limited free will that you're using and you're exercising when you conduct a Ho'oponopono. You're choosing which of two outcomes you would prefer to occur. There was a man called Dr. E. Haliaka Hugh Len, who died in 2022. He was a qualified psychologist, but after his daughter was born with a chronic skin condition, he lost faith in psychology, even though he had a doctorate in it. And he began to study Ho'oponopono with its modern founder, whose name is Morna Nalamaku Simeona. And the two of them worked together for many, many years, for about 10 or 12 years until she passed on. And then he continued to teach Ho'oponopono for most of his life, retiring in 2015 in order to tend his garden. And even then he did some cleaning on information that was brought to him in order to help resolve the data within him and also within other people. Dr. Hugh Len used to talk about cleaning. This is the metaphor he used. So he would clean the emotions that he was holding about certain events that had occurred, or else he would clean the data about the events altogether. And in the subconscious, when you clean something out, a remarkable thing happens, which is that not only are you clean and clear of the data, which is the only objective of Ho'oponopono, but also anybody that's been involved in creating that data, they're changed as well in some way. And that's because if you clear your own data out, and it's as if it never existed, or in fact it never existed, then the timeline of everybody is changed in some way. So that's really how Ho'oponopono works. Now, in order to make it happen, he suggested that we used something which he called the Ho'oponopono prayer. And that's the way in which we might speak to a child when we've got things wrong. We've asked it to do something, or we've accused it of doing something that it hasn't done. Ho'oponopono translates as to correct an error. So this process makes perfect sense. If you have a toddler child and you as an adult have got something wrong, then of course the child is aggrieved in some ways. So the first thing you say to this child is, I'm sorry, I'm very sorry, I got this wrong. And then when it's heard that, you say, please forgive me for getting this so wrong. I didn't mean to do it. And then after that, you say to the child, thank you for forgiving me, and thank you, for putting up with this distress which I've imposed upon you. And then finally you say, I love you. I really do love you. And though I got it wrong, I loved you and always have and always will. And that actually is the essence of Ho'oponopono. So when you say, thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, to your subconscious, it makes, or it prepares for a whole series of bodily changes. Your subconscious mind, you see, isn't just there recording things. It's also running various different processes for you. It's running your liver processes, it's running your heart processes, it's replacing the cells in your bones as they fall away after 7 years. It's replacing breaks if you've broken a bone in some way. It's growing your toenails, it's growing your hair. It's probably growing hair in all sorts of inconvenient places as well. But it does all of those things automatically. You don't have any conscious control about them. You may not like them, you might want to negate them, but actually they're occurring because your subconscious is making them occur for you. So when you petition the subconscious, you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Then the subconscious begins to prepare your body for all the changes that it's been running. And it also sends this petition up into the superconscious. The superconscious is the part of you that is subject to societal different beliefs, tribal beliefs, and of course it's the place where your ancestors hang out. And it's a very high frequency, and even higher than that is divinity itself, which is outside of you. The superconscious contacts divinity and says, hey, we're proposing to do some changes downstairs. What do you think about this? And divinity either says yes, no, or it says, well, I'd prefer to do it this way. And it sends down a bolt of inspirational white light. And this goes through the superconscious, changing all the past timelines about the process that occurred previously. It goes down through the conscious mind saying, yes, I've heard you, just have faith, into the subconscious where it says, yes, go ahead, clear this out, or clear this bit out, but not that bit, or clear this out as well. And it changes everything. It fills the emotion with white light. And sometimes it fills the data, the thing that's been done, also with white light, because it's deleted it altogether. And so it's deleted it within you, which is the main objective, and then it's deleted in other people. The aim of those ancient kahunas was never simply to solve the problem. It was always to solve the problem that they were witnessing. You must understand this. And the same is true for you and your relationship with Ho'oponopono and life. It's there in order to help you solve what you are witnessing. It's not about healing other people, although other people inevitably get healed in some way. But when you put your attention on the other person rather than on what you're witnessing, you actually are not doing Ho'oponopono. You're doing something else, perhaps, but it's not actually Ho'oponopono. So I wanted to make that clear to you. I hope it's been useful. There's lots of other information in the book, and there's lots of other information on the website, and you'll find information on both in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you very soon.